I'm your muffin man, you're my muffin girl. Let's get together and we'll see the muffin world. In a car, in a plane, we can muffin every day. Always, forever, in a little muffin tray.
What's up, fellow dummies, and welcome to the first Dummies podcast of two. So me and Aston here are going to. We come from completely different backgrounds, so it's our job to teach each other about what we are sort of pros in. And so, in this episode, I'm gonna try to teach Aston everything I know from sports because I've been growing up with sports. My parents got me into sports. I played sports since ever I was 5. And Aston, what are you going to teach me?
Well, next time we have our part 2 of the podcast, I will be teaching Garrett about music. I've grown up with music. My dad has always played guitar, every instrument there is, and so I've always just kind of been around music,
Yeah, I definitely have not been around music at all. I listen to it, but I have no idea what it is.
No idea what music is.
So the first topic we're going to talk about is football because the NFL draft concluded and NFL is by far the funnest sport to watch, in my opinion.
In Garrett's
Aston thinks that baseball is the best sport to watch, which kind of shows his knowledge on sports.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start with good old football, eh?
All right.
So what do you already know about football?
I know the basic rules. First down, second down, third down. I know a good amount of the teams, and I know I'm very selective amount of players.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. There we go. So football. I think I first
give
started
me the rundown.
First started watching football when I was probably around 11, I'd say, and football is kind of complicated because it changes a lot with players becoming more athletic, and right now during this time period, it's very tall players demanding. So
very what players?
Tall players demanding,
really?
Because at this point everyone kind of knows how to prevent really fast players, and they're not as useful, but they're still really good. But right now they're just more of vertical threats. So tall wide receivers that can just jump up and catch long passes, and you know how it works. You have 100-yard in between. I think it's 120 is if you add into the end zone is how big a football field is, and then your goal is to get into the end zone, score touchdowns, and then there's other things like a kick from if you're close enough.
3 points, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And then you have 2-point conversions after you score a touchdown, so you can get potentially 8 points from a touchdown, or usually you get 7, or if you miss either one, you get 6. So
okay.
But the strategy behind football is really interesting because it changes a lot and it never stays the same. As I just told you with the tall wide receivers. But football probably has the best getting players because the NFL draft is really interesting in how enthusiastic it is because you always want to get the top prospects and all that, and it's very entertaining. Of course, I'm a New York Giants fan, and we had a really good draft, so I'm pretty happy.
How often do they win, Garrett?
Do not win often. No. The last time we won the Super Bowl was in 2011. The last time we made the playoffs was 2016. So,
oh my gosh, how come you guys aren't doing that?
A couple bad coaches. So,
yeah.
But
So did the coaches make the plays, or who makes the plays?
The coaches make the plays. Usually the coaches, that's why the strategy always changes, because you change your strategy for the strengths of your players. So good coaches usually change. Other coaches, they don't change, and that's how you get your teams are kind of bad.
Have you ever seen Waterboy?
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
One of the best football movies.
Yeah, that's a movie I always think about when I think of football.
Football does that. I think that the best sports movies is baseball, just because.
Baseball is really good movies. Yeah. Did you watch the Jackie Robinson one?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that one was really good.
I think they have like classics as well, like what's the Benchwarmers, right?
Oh yeah, Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers is probably the best sports movie.
It's the one with have you seen that? It's an older one. Charlie Sheen. I think it's called like. Oh, I'm gonna sound dumb because I don't know.
I don't know.
My dad would be disappointed in me.
Yeah.
Lots of good movies though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
so next is soccer, the sport that I played for 11 years, and
Garrett's
kind of the best
at soccer.
Of course, I'm a pro. So this year was the first year I haven't played soccer because it got a little too hard for me, to be honest. You play sports to have fun, but at that point it was getting too competitive, and I didn't think I was good enough. So kind of sucked, to be honest. Coaches kept on yelling at me, had to do a lot of sprints, and it just wasn't a fun experience for me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too fun. Is it all soccer that hard?
Soccer, yeah, it's really hard, to be honest. But the strategy behind soccer is very different from team to team because all the positions that you can do. You have 10 players on the field, and in football you have to have like set positions, but in soccer you can have like tons of different ways that you can play. Like I told you how there's 11 players on a soccer field, and the usual formation is 4-3-3. So you have a right wing, a left wing, a striker, 3 center mids, and 4 center. There are 2 center backs, a right back, a left back, and a goalkeeper. But it really changes from team to team depending on your coaches. Sometimes you have 5 in the back, 2 midfielders, 3 attacking, or like 3-2. You just have so many combinations. That's what makes it so fun about it. It's because the real technical coaches, it's like an art watching them to play. So that's why I liked it. But yeah. But I played central defensive mid, which is probably the most physically demanding sport or position, and I was pretty good at it.
What do you do in that position?
You drop back on defense, so you support your center backs, but you're also push up on offense. So you're going up and down the field all the time, so it's really physically demanding. But you also have to. Someone's usually on your back, and when someone's on your back, you need to turn and like do all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty difficult.
Who usually goes for like the points, the goals?
Strikers.
Strikers.
You have your right wing, left wing are usually, but your striker is your goal scorer.
How many strikers are there?
Ooh, so in the formation, that I told you, the 4-3-3, there's only 1. A lot of the time there's 1, but can also be 2. For Kickapoo varsity, we use 2, but that's mostly because we have our best 2 people on the team are both strikers. So
who are they?
Landon Keisker and Corbin Clay.
Landon, I thought you were talking about.
They're really physical players, and really good.
Is Luke good?
Luke?
Yeah.
Luke was our best defender last year, but he's going away this year, so that kind of sucks. So next is tennis. So me and Aston both play tennis. It's his first sport.
Yep. Introduction
to sports. Tennis is honestly one of the funnest sports that I could have picked because I went from such a stressful sport in soccer and just trying to be my best self, just more of just like joking around, but still having such a fun time at tennis, and it was very fun.
I enjoy tennis a lot. And for someone who like doesn't really play sports, I guess it was a good introduction. A lot of it, there's a lot more to it than I thought.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it, I thought would just be like going to games and having matches and stuff like that. But a lot of it is practice and team building and just lot more than I thought. A lot of strategy and other stuff like that. And yeah, I enjoy tennis a lot. I never really played anything else. I mean, I've always like messed around on other sports. Like I've always tried to play baseball or wiffle ball, and I try to play basketball. I'm not that good. I always end up hurting myself.
Yeah.
Football is like the one thing I've never tried to play.
Parents would never let me try that either.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me play football actually, so that's why I never really got into it.
Probably a good thing though.
Oh yeah, I would say so too. I never really wanted to either. I never really thought it was super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think tennis is really interesting though, but I kind of at the start it was actually really interesting because I was so bad at it.
Me as well. Like the progression is very crazy.
Yeah.
Like you can progress very fast when
Yeah.
it comes to tennis.
Like I'd say for the first week I could barely hit
the
the ball out of the club.
yeah.
And now I'm working on like putting spin on the ball, which is nothing I'd ever expect playing. And it's what are we 2 months
Oh,
in?
dude, yeah, my skill level is so much higher than I ever
Yeah.
thought it would. I'm not good, but I'm better than I thought.
That is exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
The people around tennis as well are really nice.
Oh
So,
yeah, our team this year was sweet.
Yeah.
We had a good team this year. I had a lot of fun.
mhm. That
Didn't
was-
get to go that many places, but it's alright.
Next year though. Oh, you won't be there.
Not me.
Next year for me.
Have fun, buddy.
Yeah.
The only other thing I ever really did, I guess, was skateboarding, and it's what I still do now. But especially like skateboarding is like I would definitely say skateboarding is a sport,
Mhm.
especially since like this past year they introduced it in the Olympics and stuff like that, and so it's so crazy like to think that like I do tennis and skateboarding and like for them to both be considered sports but be so drastically different, like not feel like a sport at all. But I guess like whenever you think about it, you are skating in like that competitive type way, it would feel more like a sport, I guess.
Yeah.
I like skating a lot though. I feel like that definitely helped me prepare for all the breathing out of breath I would have during tennis.
Yeah.
That was definitely the worst part, the conditioning.
Of tennis.
Yeah, I always say it was the worst part, but I enjoyed it.
Oh.
I thought conditioning was fun.
I don't think I've ever told you. The soccer conditioning is that is
I heard that's
so
bad. Yeah.
it is the worst part of your entire
Don't
life.
you guys have to do a lot of suicides? Oof.
We do something called 10-10s and then 20-20 or 9-20s, and it goes on. So basically, you do 10 10-yard sprints, 9 20-yard sprints, 30 8 30-yard sprints, and then it goes all the way, and then like you have like 80 like 2 80-yard sprints, which are like the worst, and it's down and back is one. Like it's like so hard. But that's only during tryouts. It's sometimes during your preparation, but usually it's during tryouts. And tryouts are 3 hours and 30 minutes long. And so you have to do the sprints, and then right after you have to perform at your best in tryouts, trying to get your position. So it's not something you enjoy, to say the least.
I would say that's probably the best thing about
Tennis.
Yeah,
There's not as much conditioning.
Yeah, no. Well, that and there was not even tryouts.
Yeah.
It was just you went to the meeting. You're on the team. Yeah.
I kind of gone to tennis only for the sole fact that my friends made me, but it definitely was a good decision.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt my sophomore year. Like I felt like everyone that I was friends with was doing it, and so I felt like I should do it too. Like I wanted to at the same time, but it was more like I wasn't too sure because I wasn't too confident in myself, and so I kind of got lucky with that because COVID ended up happening. But I say lucky, but I feel like it was more sad because I feel like I would have had more memories if I had joined then and actually played all the matches and stuff, and so I wouldn't say it's good that I didn't
agree.
have it, but tennis was good.
Tennis is very good.
It's about to wrap up today. I think is going to be our last day, hopefully, if the weather permits, because it's either rain or sun.
Right now, it's looking pretty good, but there is a lot of clouds. This makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, I don't know.
The weather does change.
Are we all going today?
What'd you say?
Is it everyone going today?
I think so. I hope so.
All right.
It's gonna be
Kickapoo Chiefs versus Central
Versus
at
Central.
Cooper, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. I don't think that you're gonna hear this before.
By the time you guys hear this, it'll already be
ended.
gone. But that's where we're going.
I think that's gonna be
Conclude our podcast today.
Podcast for the first one at least.
Yeah, we'll be back at you pretty soon to talk about some music.
Zach.
Yeah,
I'll be the dummy the next time. So
Écoute de la musique. Listen
so-
to music in French.
no. Okay, boss. But
All right.
that's
That'll
it for
conclude
us.
today's podcast, guys.
Thanks for watching or listening.
We'll get you next time.
Bye.
Later.